Hour 2 Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, Yo-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan. Jake Allen will join us here in a few moments. He's, of course, in town. The Devils Leafs tomorrow night, and he's been in the league for a long time. Devils are playing well. Markstrom's been good. Allen's been good. He's been doing some media, right? He did some media last year, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe that's his plan in the future, post-career. So we'll catch up with Jake. We've got Gerry's percentages coming up in about a half an hour. I just had someone sent me a tweet that I do want to address at some point.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit concerning about kind of how the Al's brother nickname is portrayed or defined out into the universe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Why don't I just read this here quickly? Do you want to read this?
Okay. Yeah, let's deal
Vince
with it
sent me
now.
this in, all right? Vince sent this. He said he was asking CHAT GPT. Right, so everything's chat this, chat that, AI. I was reading something about Google's got some crazy computer that's determined that there's some multiverse or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just probably made that sound so stupid and inaccurate, but I guess, a lot of tech guys and like science people are freaking out that there's like different universes out there where like the Leafs power play is a mess somewhere, 35,000 light years away. But anyway, here's what he asked. Chat GPT. Why is Al's brother on Overdrive called Al's brother? Which we get asked all the time. I'm sure you guys get that asked all the time, and I'm always
it's
like,
kind of if you're not in the, it's like almost an inside joke. If
exactly
you're not in the know, then it's just that's
right.
his name and deal with it.
You got to know our buddy Joe Narsa, and then Joe was Al, and then Al's brother. Anyway, this is the definition courtesy of Chat GPT. Al's brother is a nickname used in the sports media world, particularly on Overdrive, a popular sports talk show on TSN in Canada. It refers to Michael DeStefano, a producer and contributor to the show. The nickname is a humorous and playful way to identify him, as it implies he is the brother of Bryan Hayes. Which is like, what?
That's where that Chat GTP man can get you off the course.
I'm out, man. I'm out on Chat GPT. Let me make this clear. Al's brother, it is not that he's my brother. No. I don't know where they're possibly getting this from. But then it went on to say the name stuck as part of the show's lighthearted dynamic, where running jokes, nicknames, and banter between the host and contributors are part of the charm. That's very nice. Thank you.
Very nice.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that's so funny.
I just want to clarify that with, people or computers. Al's brother is not my brother.
No.
But I do love him. I love Al's brother like a brother, my partner. We need to start picking winners real soon. We'll get to that on Friday. So Jake Allen will join us here in a moment. Jersey, man, perfect example where like you get a new coach in there, you get two new goalies. They picked up Allen last year, and then obviously they picked up Markstrom in the offseason. You get some health, and everything's working out. And Jersey, they're a legit team.
Well,
they're a good team, and it should be a fun game tomorrow night.
And top 50 Dougie too, right? That's your guy, right?
Absolutely.
Who is it? Was it your guy? You said it, and O didn't believe it, or vice versa? You didn't think he was a top 50.
Well, he was.
Well, it wasn't necessarily
Dougie.
It was the Ovi argument where we were talking about guys that were in, and Dougie was one, I believe, and then that's how it came to life.
That's right.
Know.
It was factual. He had been voted in. Like Dougie Hamilton was like number 38 on the list or whatever a couple of years ago, and like you mentioned, Alex Ovechkin was not, and Ovi was not on it this year, right? Like Ovi, the preseason projection of the season, Alex Ovechkin was not on it, and this guy, he had that injury for a month, and he's come back, and he just keeps scoring goals, and
that's all he does.
That's all he does. All he does, man. What is he? 22 back now? I think he's 22 goals away from Gretzky. Which is incredible, and he's got enough time to do it. I don't know if he will, but it wouldn't. We've reached a point now where it wouldn't surprise anyone.
Yeah,
right.
He needs
if
one
he did it this
massive heater, like one massive heater, and then he could just chip away at it.
Right. Put it like at 10 goals in 5 games, and then all of a sudden it's a chip away. It's a chip away, and
something stupid like that.
He scored some empty netters recently. He scored one the other night. He scored one against the Leafs. Those count. I don't think you want to break the record on an empty netter, though, right?
Didn't
Who
Gretzky,
cares,
though?
man?
Gretzky did 50 and 39. The fifth goal was an empty netter.
That was an
wasn't
empty
it?
netter. 50 and 39 is different because
Yeah.
once it hits 40, it feels different, right? Like you got to
Yeah.
get to 50. It just
Yeah.
feels like 50 and 40 would have been incredible. 50 and 39, though, sounds and feels so much cooler.
It was.
It-
He
I'm
scored
sure it
5
was.
goals that game.
5
didn't he?
goals that
was,
night.
It was the fifth goal. Was
The
an
fifth
empty.
goal.
How
50
do you
and
pull the
39.
goalie? What I don't even know what the score would have been. It was probably like 9-6. That
Oh, I'm
game.
sure it was crazy.
You know?
I'm sure it was crazy. But listen, if Ovi scores an empty netter, so be it.
Yeah.
But I got to think goalies in the league right now, especially goalies within his division, they could be doing some math thinking, am I going to be in when Ovi is
Well-
– and we got a guy on the line that could be in that situation, right? We got a guy who plays for Jersey within the division. I'm sure they have games left against the Capitals. Here he is of the New Jersey Devils in town to play the Leafs tomorrow night. Here's Jake Allen joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Jake, have you put any thought into that, the idea that you could be in net for when Alex Ovechkin actually breaks Gretzky's record?
To be honest, we had that conversation the other day, and for our luck, for me and Marky's luck, we don't have to play the Caps again, which is crazy to think about someone in your division. We've already played them 4 times this year, and, we got the best of him in that. He never got any by us, but we talked about being that goalie in net when he breaks that record. You're on a highlight for the rest of your life, and not on a good end.
No
So-
kidding.
Yeah. So Jake, I'm on his list. He got one on me his rookie season, so I'm on the list. I'm assuming, are you on his list? Has he gotten you before?
Oh yeah, I've contributed. Yeah, for sure. I'm at least. I can't say for sure, but I'm for sure between 5 and 7 goals, no question. At least 4 one-timers and a couple other ones. But no, he's got me.
What a list that guy must have.
What
It
a
must
list.
be like he makes that Cleveland Browns jersey list look like just child's play. Like he's got a goalie list that's insane.
Incredible, man. Like that, you got to think, like that's probably something he'll get when he retires or breaks Gretzky's record.
Some
like,
kind of book or something.
like Jake Allen, Jamie McLennan, and like
Yeah.
400 other goalies. You
It's
guys
all
are
in
gonna be on
alphabetical
there.
order.
Yeah, it should be. It should be. And yeah, man, he's a beast. And you're right. Like that goal will be played forever and ever and ever. And I'm glad to hear you guys don't have to worry about that. But you guys, you've been playing really well, obviously, this year. And you were acquired by New Jersey last year. Markstrom comes in over the summer. 2 veteran guys. And when you consider that New Jersey was looking to solidify that position in particular, how much pride do you take in that, the fact that you two have played so well and your team's playing so well?
Yeah, when the whole sort of situation unfolded last year with me in Montreal and coming here to Jersey, they sort of laid out a plan for me, sort of knew that what I was getting myself in for. Obviously took a little bit of time for us to get Marky, but now that the cards are folded on the table, it's worked out well. It's worked out well for both of us personally, obviously collectively as a group too. We've managed to, get off to a, good start here halfway through the year. But, it's been a pleasure for me to play with a guy like Marky. We've played against each other since we were 17 years old. We're both going to be 35 years old this year. And, he's playing some of the best hockey, I think, of his career right now. And it's fun to watch.
With you guys being veteran guys, is it make it kind of easier playing with these buccos up front that want to kind of do their thing? And they're extremely gifted, and hey, they do what they do. Jack Hughes and they're some of the most exciting players in the league. But do you guys have to stand up the odd time and say, guys, if we want to be serious here, it's not all about the flash and dash. We have to get back, play defense, and all the other intangibles.
No, you're definitely right. But at the same time, I know I was only here for a little bit of time last year for, I think, 16 or 18 games. But just to see the mindset from then to now, I know we were out of the playoffs, but still to come in here with the addition of some older guys this year with Brendan Dillon, myself, Markstrom, and those guys being a year older and a little bit wiser and seeing what it takes around the league to win. And I've really seen it. Obviously, we know what Jack can do. He's a magician. It's like he's playing a video game out there. I don't even know how to describe it. But they've really committed themselves this year, especially when Sheldon came over to, playing that defensive style game that obviously isn't fun all the time for guys that have that much skill, but they're finding ways to put up the points, do it at both ends of the rink. Yeah, it's not easy every night, but especially going against the top guys. But, those guys have been really showing a lot of maturity in my books, in my eyes, and, I'm impressed by it.
With Jake Allen, Devils Leafs tomorrow night, what's your relationship been like with Sheldon Keefe, a guy we're very familiar with up here? Obviously he had a lot of success here, and it's his first year in New Jersey. What have you made of Keefe and the way he's handling things?
Yeah, I've been impressed. I really have. Obviously, playing against him quite a bit when I was with the Habs for 4 years, and sort of understanding what how his team plays and sort of what they're going to bring. And right from day one, he's impressive. He's detailed. He's meticulous. He's obviously very passionate about his position and what he does. And out of all the coaches I've had throughout my 11, 12 years in the league, he's definitely the most detailed and prepared and purposeful coach that I've had, and it's really impressive. And I think new coaches, sometimes you get into a situation where they try to throw everything at you at once, and a little bit overwhelming. Obviously not for me and Marky in our position, but for the guys up front. And he's done a good job of slowly interpreting things, weekly, bi-weekly into the systems, little tweaks, little things. And like I said, for me playing against the Leafs quite a bit over the last 4 years, I can really see a lot of those systems and tendencies that they brought to the table that made them such a good team for a long time in our game now. And he's done a great job.
So, you've been in the league for a while now. What has been probably the biggest adjustment for a goaltender, let's say in the last 12 years, where the game is at right now with the speed and the skill and what you're seeing nightly compared to when you first started, Jake?
Yeah, no, for sure. When I first came to the league, I think my first game was around 2011. It was way more just north-south, straight line shots, especially if you had a fortunate defensive team in front of you, and you're getting pucks from the wing, and not a whole lot east-west. Obviously, the odd play when the skill players are going to make it, but it was definitely a lot less. And now it's some nights, as you guys see it, and you guys watch all the hockey, here with the Leafs and throughout the league, it's just pure chaos some games, and that's just the reality of it. So I think you just have to have a good understanding of constantly ready. You got to be able to constantly adapt your game. I think that's one thing too, from year to year, even month to month throughout the season. As the season progresses, we get the heavier months in March, April, heading into the playoffs, where the game gets a little bit more grinded. Not as open and free flowing. It's constantly adapting and constantly understanding your situations. And if you want longevity, I think that's a big thing in the game right now, is constantly trying to find a way to improve and not just stay stagnant.
Chatting with Jake Allen, you won the Cup in 19 with St. Louis, and I don't know if you're familiar with this story. You probably are. That I guess Evgeny Malkin had someone break into his house, and now he's lost, or they may have stolen his cup rings. I guess as a guy who's in that exclusive club, like when you hear that, does that make your heart sink? Like, what do you know where your cup ring is at all times? How do you react to a news story like that?
Yeah, no, we did, and there was a bit of chatter on the flight here to Toronto today about it, and obviously it's super unfortunate. You never want to see, one, your house getting broken into, and then two, someone mess with your property, especially something that means so much to you deep down. And obviously I'm sure they're going to try to do everything to get them back, but it's still not the same. And I know where mine is, and it's in a safe spot, and I know where it is at all times. I don't take it out very much, because
leave it at that.
You don't have to tell us details.
I would be the guy that would lose it.
Yeah,
I hear you. I know, it's terrible.
Oh, it sucks, man. That story, I was reading it last night after the game, and yeah, I mean, listen,
dude, you can't help but think it's some kind of inside job, like somebody, like, it just goes to, like, he's playing a game and this happens. Like,
it's been happening in the NFL, right? Joe Burrow,
dude, no kidding. It's somebody that knows somebody, and I'm not saying like arena worker, whatever, but somebody knows somebody, detailed schedule, where this stuff would be. It's an inside job. I hate to say it, man, but it just has to be.
Yeah. Sucks.
Yeah.
With Jake Allen, so you were doing some media work last year as well. Is that a part of your future plans, Jake? Like, what do you? I know you're still rocking in the NHL at this point, but like you mentioned, be 35. I mean, what is your plan post career?
I'm keeping all doors open right now. Who knows? I got a little taste of your line of work last year, and honestly, it was a great experience for me. I sort of got the call later in the season, and I said, why not? See what it's like. I think I was more nervous for my first on TV, national experience than I was for my first NHL game. It was, I don't even know how to describe it, but it was super cool to see, behind the scenes, sort of what goes on, the detail, the preparation and all that. But yeah, no, who knows what's going to happen post-hoc for me. I'd love to stay in the game, but keeping all doors open right now.
Absolutely. Well, we're not rushing you out. That's not what we're asking. We're just I thought you did a great job last year, and that's different, right? You're under different lights and it's different action, and but it was cool to see you doing that, and we wish you nothing but success with whatever you're going to do in the future. But I guess we'll start with tomorrow night against the Leafs. So good luck tomorrow, and good luck the rest of the way, and thanks for doing this.
Anytime. Appreciate it.
There's Jake Allen of the New Jersey Devils joining us here on the Maple Title Hotline.
And Jake at one point dug himself out of a ditch, I believe, in St. Louis. They went on a road trip up to Winnipeg, and I think Hitch said, Jake Allen, you're going to stay back in St. Louis. I think it was Jake Allen.
Yeah, it was. He stayed back and
worked on his game or whatever.
Yeah, with the goalie coach.
Like you look at a guy like Tristan Jarry, like there's no other way but to dig yourself out of it. It's like no one's gonna save you. Like you got to go down there, and who knows what happens with Tristan Jarry. Sometimes when this situation happens, you never hear from the guy again. But there is a way out of it. He's just got to figure out which one and what approach he has to take. Because if he tries to take any shortcuts or whatever, it's like doing anything else in life. If there's one shortcut and you take it, you're not going to get there.
Yeah.
So he's got to really dig in, man, because nobody likes saying goodbye to the NHL because waivers is a tough scene, man.
It is, and you know what? He's going to clear because nobody's going to grab that salary. So he's got to go down and work on his game, and whether he gets back or not, like that's going to be up to him and his body of work. I think he's a skilled goaltender, but it has been a big drop off. Like it wasn't that long ago. I believe he played in the All-Star game
twice. Noodles, so two-time All-Star,
and two-time All-Star, and I like his demeanor. I think it's unfortunately a perfect storm. Him not playing well, that team not really dedicated to defense. Like you get exposed, and it's tough. And it's tough. Confidence is a really tough thing. You guys can speak to it in all different levels. Like,
but Noodles, this seemed to creep in like years back, where it was a different team, and it was the playoffs, and it was you watching, and you're like, there's some weird goals going in on Jarry.
Yeah.
And then he just all of a sudden out of the blue gets what was it, a 5-year extension?
Yeah, Dubas's first off-season there. Like he just got the job.
What was the urgency for a 5-year extension?
The only I think urgency is he was going to be unrestricted. It wasn't like, hey, we're going to keep restricted free agent, got to lock him in, because I think he was going to free agency and they were going to lose him, and I believe they wanted to keep him in house. That was
it's easy to look at this stuff now, but
it's
short-term deal, and then say if you got to walk, you pull a Colorado and you get 2 new goalies in.
Well,
I don't know. It's easy to kind of harp on this now because it's not really working out.
Well, Dubas, though, I think in a candid moment, if you went back to him and said that first summer he had, if you could wash it all out and restart, he would push that button immediately. He'd dive at it with his forehead. The Carlson trade hasn't worked. Let's call it what it is. It's been not been a disaster, but it just hasn't worked. They signed Jarry. They signed Ryan Graves, who immediately
Ryan
wasn't
Graves
working.
was a 7-year deal at something with a 4 in it, a high
7?
4.
Yeah, it was a big
I believe it
deal,
was
man.
4.8. I'll look it up.
Well, you should be thankful because some people get fired for those transactions.
But
it was the first thing he did in Pitt, man.
I get it,
First
but
thing he did.
in pro sports, sometimes when you make those transactions and they don't work out, you get fired.
Yeah, exactly.
But he signed it. I mean, Kyle signed himself a 7-year deal, and I wholeheartedly believe this. I'm not privy to any information. This is just my opinion. As he said to him, I will try whatever I can, my bag of tricks, to make this team competitive for the next 2 or 3 years.
But Noodles,
and then
it doesn't take away from the fact that he didn't do it. Or hasn't looked like he hasn't done it.
He tried, but he didn't make the right plays. Again, to be fair, at the time, my reaction was, okay, that's interesting. He's moving money around. He's going to give it a shot, right? He's doing different things. But Dubas, again, I gave Ryan Graves a 7-year deal.
Sorry,
Jarry
6 year.
6 year. Okay,
years
so
at
UFA at
full,
29.
That's
Yeah.
not that
I
bad.
believe.
then.
I can live with that.
6 instead of 7. Sorry.
Yeah, and
But-
these like Carlson, Graves, and Jarry, that's collectively
Well-
17, 18 million dollars that could be helping that team, and it's not.
And keep in mind here, Jake Gensel goes out the door.
Right.
You replaced him with what? Kevin Hayes? Is that where we were?
Well, originally it was Riley Smith that they acquired,
Riley
and
Smith,
they
they
traded
got,
him for Kevin Hayes.
There has been
Noodles,
now-
what about just the idea of we got to sign Gensel so Carlson's not coming in here?
Well,
Yeah, maybe think
okay,
that
so-
one through.
But I mean, Carlson, I think, was a swing for the fences. You bring a guy in. Now, what is they paying on Carlson? I don't think
It's like
are they
8.5
paying the full.
or
Yeah,
something.
so they made him an $8 million defenseman. That hasn't worked, unfortunately. The power play was going to look different. You know what? It reminds me of the Nashville situation. They went and got Marchessault and Stamkos. They got Carlson. They have Chris Letang there. Who's going to right shot defenseman? Who's going to run
Jim
the power
Taddy,
play?
the
Exactly.
great Jim Taddy told me this. He said there's not much sense in having duplicates. And if you think about Carlson and Letang, they're about the same size. They shoot right. They're gifted skaters. They can move the puck. They run the power play. That's a duplicate if I've ever seen it, man.
Well, it is, and most teams don't have one of them, and they have two.
And they're paying them both a premium, too. That's
Yes.
another thing. They're paying them a lot of money.
And to be honest, the other thing too is Malkin gets a 4-year extension. Letang gets a 4-year.
That was before
Like,
Dubas.
yeah, but
That
they're
was
there.
that was
Like,
Burke and Hextall, I think, that did that.
those guys are, they're there. Like everybody's there. They're trying to make it work. It's not like they're in last place. They're right in the mix with
They're in it
everybody
if they
else,
can get
right?
some saves and defend better.
Exactly.
Exactly. They've given up more goals than anyone else in the league.
So
Because
I would think-
well,
Nedeljkovic
the
hasn't
two-
been
you
any
think-
better.
I
You
like
think the two
Nedeljkovic.
guys are going to give him the saves going down the stretch?
They got this rookie they've called up, right? Blomqvist, is
yeah.
it?
He's the guy who played, I believe, against the Leafs. Like he's got some skill, but you know what? Like it's hard to judge young goaltenders. I'll give you an example. I watched a kid last night, right? This Marilainen, he's won 3 in a row for Ottawa. Greeny's run with him. He's a nice goaltender. He's got really good skill, and the moment doesn't seem to be too big for him right now. Now you're still early in the league, like so you got to see what these guys are going to be like when they reach their ceiling. This Blomqvist will get an opportunity, and Marilainen's going to get. We'll see what their ceiling is. Where you knew what you had in Jarry, it's just he's not playing well, and you need. And Nedeljkovic has been wildly inconsistent. I like him too. I like Nedeljkovic, but they need saves. And they need the team to play better in front of them as
Big
well.
time.
I just don't want to. It bothers me because those guys, the focus is on them. This isn't New Jersey, where New Jersey you just couldn't get saves. Like Pittsburgh, there's lots of flaws in their game there. It's
Right.
not just goaltending.
Credit to Jake Allen and Jacob Markstrom for acknowledging that Ovi's going to score on someone, but it's not going to be them this year because they played him 4 times.
Yeah.
There is a website, RMNB, that I guess has detailed all of Ovechkin's goals throughout his career and who he scored against. Listen to this early in his career. So he scored, 51 or something as a rookie? Like immediately
Yeah.
scored 50.
I was on that list.
His first goal was, I believe, his first game, Pascal Leclerc. And then he scored against Kevin Weeks. Weeks he's on the list. But then look at this run. Cam Ward, Roberto Luongo, Sean Burke, Ed Belfour, Marty Brodeur, Henrik Lundqvist, and there's Marty Baron there too. Chris Osgood. Like this is all before he hits the new year of his first season in the league. Marty Turco, he's like J.S. Shiger's on there. Marc-Andre Fleury a million times, clearly.
Yeah.
But you talk about a list of goalies and Noodles. You're on here too. I just got to find you. There you are.
Yeah.
April 15th, 06. You gave up 1 against them. That's not
Had a
bad.
breakaway. It was a breakaway.
And with all the one-timers that Ovi's had, I still think in Arizona, lying on his back, getting that puck into the net is the greatest goal
On
that's
Bush.
ever been scored.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Brian
brilliant.
Boucher.
Yeah, like I don't know if there's a better goal ever than that.
It's amazing the list here and how many goals he has.
Do you
on some
remember
of
how
these guys.
excited he would get though with goals?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that guy, him and Pavel Bure, like they could be losing 9-0. They score. They'd ride their stick down the ice. Like they loved scoring
Loved
goals.
to score
What's
goals.
the one goalie that Hayes that he's got just a
Well, the
zillion
Flower's the one
It's
he
a
scored on
Flower.
more than anybody.
Yeah.
He scored like 28 times on Marc-Andre Fleury.
But
Yeah,
I think it's misleading though because he's
No,
probably
they're
played him a
division
ton.
rivals.
Yeah, exactly.
And Fleury's the starter. Like, he got me
would've
once. He only
played him a
played one
ton.
game, maybe a couple games against me. I think he played one game against me. Maybe,
Right.
maybe one other one. I think.
Ovi, he's got 19 on Ryan Miller.
Yeah.
He got 22 on Carey Price. Scored a lot on
Wow.
Carey Price. 18 on Andre Pavelec.
Oh yeah, I remember that guy. Winnipeg and
16
Atlanta.
on Bobrovsky. That's still going. He's still tallying on some of these guys. Anyway, like it's amazing. Like Vasilevsky's got 11. Like there's so many goalies here where he scored double-digit goals against them in his career.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like it's just amazing how many times this guy's scored. Anyway, yeah, that would be a pretty cool plaque. Every goalie he's scored against, and there's some great ones on there.
And counting, 178
And counting.
so far. So
That's
he
right.
might, when it's all said and done, he's going to score. There'll be new goalies in the league near the end of the season.
Yep,
He'll be over 180 goalies. He's scored.
definitely over 180. Amazing career. Gerry's percentages coming up. Darren Dreger's still to come as well. Mike Golick on the NFL divisional round, forthcoming this weekend. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
You're going to want to hear this.
Gerry's percentages.
I don't love being commissioner as much as I used to. I actually love it even more.
That's the voice of a Hall of Famer.
Are you kidding? Have you been out drinking?
You're all pigeons. Filthy, filthy pigeons.
It's Gerry. Gerry.
All right, we haven't heard from Gerry in a long time.
Dude,
It's,
months.
Yeah,
Love
it's
it.
great to have him back in the fold. He's a busy guy. I
He
understand.
is
that.
busy.
Yeah, very busy guy. And I'm sure he's got a lot of takes. You guys ready to fire this up for the first
Go
time in
ahead,
a long
let's
time?
hear 'em.
Jerry's jacked for the Four Nations face-off. And it's all because my dream matchup in the finals will come to life. Canada versus USA.
Canada, USA. Jerry's calling it,
Dude.
saying it's a lock. That's your
Isn't
final.
it a slam dunk 80% lock? I do not want to disrespect the
80%.
Finns.
80% lock.
That's not slam dunk in your world. You always go 100%. With
80%
I know that.
lock.
I don't want to disrespect other countries, but aren't we talking 80% here? It's going to be Canada versus USA. That's my answer. I'm going with 80%.
All right.
I think it's anything less than that is completely insane.
No, it's not.
No,
Not in a short tournament. You know how the Finns play when they get together. You know the Swedes. You need
Dude.
one goalie to stand on. It's a short tournament. They play each other
Okay,
once,
Hayes,
and
let
then
me
they
ask you
determine
something.
who's in the
Okay,
final.
don't look at your computer like you always do. Give me the Finns top line right now. Okay.
Well, Barkov's the first line center. I'll give you
Okay.
that.
Might throw Aho on the wing with them.
Yeah.
Okay, what's
Barkov,
after that?
Aho, and that's a good question. I don't know. Is Teravainen on the team? I'd have to go look at the team. Is Patrick Laine? He had 10 goals last night. Fly Laine in there, and you know what you do? You get Jesse Puljujärvi in there, and you reconnect Aho, Puljujärvi, and Laine, one of the great World Junior lines of all time.
Dude,
and there you go.
Puljujärvi just got bought out.
I understand Puljujärvi's not legitimately in the running here, but
He's
Barkov's
joking.
the man with Aho, and you're looking good, man.
I think they're I
Give me
think
the
you're right.
percentage.
Like,
Mikko Rantanen, there's the other guy on the
yeah,
right side.
he's a pretty good player.
How's that for a top line?
Okay, mine was 80. What was yours, Hayes? 80%.
51%. 51%. I think it's a coin
Dude, you're
flip.
playing
that-
to the crowd, man. You're
no, I'm not
to
playing to the crowd. You're telling me one of the Americans or the Canadians don't show up and sleepwalk for a game or two, or one of the other teams have a great start or have a great. It's not one of those like group stage into the. They're all going to play each other. They're going to feel it out. I'm not convinced everyone's going to be on their toes and ready to play or really that dogged when they get there. And you need a hot goalie. Like
Well, UC
that's
Staros
that's
could
what it comes
steal
down
that.
to.
UC Staros is go, you know what? I'm not going to play a playoff game this year, so this is going to be my playoff. So UC
Right.
Staros stands on his head. You know, the other thing, too, now, you could bring up Yanni Hakanpää is going to be, he's on that roster,
Cheerleader.
is he not?
Yes, he'll be there, Yanni. I got a quote from Jeff Hoffman, too, that I'll get to. He spoke with the media today. So awkward. Like, I know this is off base, but like Hoffman's up there. He's like, yeah, the Orioles, they pulled the chute and Braves, but I love being here in Toronto. This is where I really want to be. It's
and
like,
he said
no,
the
you
other
don't.
organizations didn't see him for what he is. What are you talking about, homie?
I'm sorry, it's embarrassing when it's so clear he chose the other teams first. Like, he wants to be in Baltimore badly or Atlanta. It's
so
just
disappointing.
The Blue Jays wore blindfolds when they were looking at the MRIs, and they said, we're signing you.
Right, exactly. We're taking this guy.
Looks good to us.
Let's see what he's got. All right, I'm a fan of Jeff Hoffman back in Toronto. Okay. 51%. Noodles, did you give a percentage? Canada, U.S. in the final.
I'm lower on this. Like, that Swedish team looks pretty damn good, too. I mean, even the goaltenders, you've got Gustafsson, Markstrom, and Ullmark, if he's healthy. I mean, those are three good goalies. Rasmus Andersson, Rasmus Dahlin, Matthias Ekholm, Victor Hedman. Like,
Kempe's
good teams.
Brad's
man.
been great this year.
I
Pedersen, he's going to be great at this tournament.
Listen, I don't disagree. Like, I think 80% is I should lean that USA Canada, but again, Jordan Binnington. What if it doesn't go well for him? What if
That's
it just,
Noodles.
Like, that's the thing. Like, I'm gonna play the odds. I'm gonna say 42%.
Oh, I love it. I love a skeptic. I love it.
It's not skeptic. I'm just looking at all four teams and going.
That's right. They're all good.
You can make an argument for all four teams. Yes, the two of them have, I think, more high-end skill and more of it in USA and Canada. But like you say, Barkov's a winner. He knows how to play, and he's going to match up against McDavid just like he did in the finals.
Aho's a good player. Patrick Laine's on fire. There he is. He's on the team. Yanni Hakanpää still in the top six is a little bit concerning for Finland, but anyway, moving on.
Is he going to play for the Leafs anytime soon?
I'm not sure. And I was thinking about that, looking at Ullmark. Like, if you're in Ottawa, Ullmark cannot play at the Four Nations, right?
No.
Like, we keep talking about Matthews. Like, if you're a Sens fan, aren't you looking at that saying, dude, you got to tell them pretty soon here you're not playing.
Well,
they got to find someone else. And they have Markstrom there, and he'll play.
And they've got lots of time, too. Like, that's the thing. Like, if he comes back and plays a full month straight, then you make a decision. But I don't think you make a decision mid-January when you're not – when is the
Less than a
actual
month
date
away.
of this?
It's the February 12th.
He better come back and play a full month straight, or that guy – Anyway, moving along. Let's
get to
get back to
the
Gerry.
second take here from Gerry.
One of the Commanders or Texans will shock the world and win this weekend. Maybe that loser Al's brother can have more than 1 point, because that's all he's got.
Well, so do you guys. I mean,
it says I
Gerry
don't know why
figured it out.
he made that comment. I'm 100% in on this. I am all in. I think it's going to be chaotic, fellas.
Really?
I really do. I don't know why. I'm not going to go that high. I'm going to go 52% on some type of upset. It's a gutless, weaselly number that someone in this group uses quite often.
Quite me.
No, it's
very
the other
sound.
guy. No, it's the other guy. He just said
sound.
51% 10 minutes ago. It's gutless, but I'm going to go with it. 52% something goofy happens.
Well, listen, I'm having a difficult time seeing Kansas City or Detroit losing. I just can't see Houston, who I thought was going to lose last week, going into Kansas City when the Chiefs have been on a bye. Chiefs are sitting there waiting for them. They're just a better team. They're at home. I don't see how Houston beats Kansas City. And the same thing with the Commanders. That was their Super Bowl last week. Detroit, I just feel like the way they've been playing all year, the way that Ford Field is going to be rocking, I'll say 10%. I'll leave the door open to an extent out of respect to sport. 10%, though.
I think you have to leave the door
Respect
open
to
because
sport.
there's been some wacky things that have happened. Like, maybe this is just bizarro sports world right now, the NFL. Like, I don't know.
Who's more likely to lose, though? Kansas City or Detroit?
I'm going to put it on one
Detroit.
player. Well, I think one player has the chance to go nuclear, and that's C.J. Stroud.
Well, that would
Really?
be Houston then going in there to Kansas City and shocking the world. Man.
Well, don't you think that he's the one guy that's maybe like he can go nuclear and just have a performance?
Yes, although I would suggest that Jaden Daniels can probably do that too, right? Like on turf,
Do
control.
you think of him going nuclear, though?
I mean, he's a rookie. I think it's far-fetched, but I think that Detroit defense is still banged up, and it could be a shootout. And I think if he does that, Jared Goff probably matches him, and he's going to have to win like 38-37 or something crazy like that.
And we've bet against – no, that's the wrong word. Dan Campbell has won people over, but can you see him doing something,
It's
a little bit funky?
Possible.
Like that's just I
Yes.
don't know.
Only if it got
Possible.
to like a dire situation, like they were down big in the fourth, then it would be full blown bozo time.
But until you do it, you this is what you know of people, right? And
One thing that scares me about that guy is it's going to be in a Super Bowl, like you know how Mahomes last year marched down the field, like it would be bozo time in a Super Bowl, and he would never be able to live. He would never be able to live it down.
I kind of want to see it because it would
No,
just be
you
so
don't,
great to
dude.
talk about.
Bozo time in a Super Bowl
I
that
know.
cost your team?
I don't want to put that out into the atmosphere because I like Dan Campbell. The Lions, their fans deserve what they're getting right now. But it would be incredible to talk about. Like, Lions, they're up by 3, up by 4, and all they got to do is punt the ball, and he tries a funky snap.
fake punt,
It's like,
That's
what are
what I
you
mean,
doing, man? They lose the Super Bowl. I could see that. Could definitely see that.
Is there a prop bet on that? Like, I guess there wouldn't be, only in the Super
I
Bowl.
don't know how you could bet on the coach doing something.
Like a weird play call? Like you
Probably,
can't-
yeah. You could probably, like a fake punt prop. You might be able to find that on FanDuel. We should look into that.
Yeah.
All right, Jerry, what else do you got here?
The Leafs are leaking serious oil right now, and Gerry is loving it. But unfortunately, they'll sort things out and still win the division.
All right, Jerry's got them still sticking with that top seed in the Atlantic Division.
Man, it's amazing how like 10 days ago you're like, this is a 90%er. And then it's like a couple wins for other teams, and then it tightens up a little bit, a bad week. I'll go 75%. I'll give them a 75% chance. That's a quick blender math of equating the Panthers and the Leafs and all the other teams. I'm going to say 75% chance they have it to get it back on the rails and win the division.
Okay.
Curious to see where you guys are at on this one.
Yeah.
Brian, you want to go next?
I'll go
You
first.
You
Yeah,
go
I'm going
next.
to say 33%.
Oh,
I 33%. I think it's equal to Florida and Tampa. I will say they should be more ambitious for that. I don't think Florida cares. I don't think Florida could be a wild card team. I don't think they'd care. And Tampa, the same thing. Tampa's won their 2 cups. They're just they want to get through the season and be healthy. The Leafs should have way more determination and fight and ambition to get that top seed. But their history and even their commentary the last couple of days would suggest to me they're not really portraying that type of attitude or approach. Like their approach is, let's just get through the year as well. And we're just going to play and we'll be fine and we're going to make the playoffs and then that's when we start. I don't get the impression like they are freaking out or overly focused on the advantage that would come with that top seed. I think that's misplaced. I think they should be. I hope I'm wrong on this. And behind the scenes, the coaching staff is like, we got to get this top seed. But I don't get that impression from their commentary, their body language, the way they operate, which I think is a little bit scary that if they see themselves on the same playing field as Florida and Tampa, 2 champions, then they're delusional because they're not on the same level. But I'll say 33%. I could see any of Tampa, Florida, or Toronto winning the division still.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it's a reasonable take. I was going to go like 41, 40. Like I wasn't going to go 50. I was originally going to go 50 going, it's a coin flip between you and the other teams, basically, whoever it is, Florida or Tampa. But there's 2 others, so you went 33. I'll go just above that.
They do have a lead on them right now, especially Tampa.
You have a lead, and you have the motivation, like you said. Like there should be some motivation to try and do something you haven't done, which is win the division. So I'll go a little bit higher. I'm going to say 41%.
Yeah, and Tampa's got 3 games in hand, but the Leafs are 7 points up on them right now.
Right.
So, like the Leafs do have a decent buffer on Tampa. Like the goal differential's pretty wild, though. The Leafs are +8. Tampa's +34 on the season.
Yeah.
Goal differential. Like, that's pretty crazy. Again, Florida's only +11, so it's not like they're, like, to put that into perspective, Washington's +46. Winnipeg's +53.
We ran a board last night, guys. On the bottom, teams that are lumped up, only Ottawa was the only plus team. They were +2, I think it was. Everybody else, Boston was like -26 goal differential. And I remember an NHL coach telling me last year, going, pretty much if you look at the teams that make the playoffs, they're always a plus goals.
Yes.
Like that's, he goes, there are outliers, but he said it's always a plus goal differential. That's
pretty good indicator. Yeah, it's a pretty obvious indicator too. The more you win, the more you're going to be into the plus. And right now the Leafs are plus, but they're +8. They're not running away in that category. All right, what else do you have, Jerry? One more.
Connor McDavid is rope-a-doping the heart race right now, and he's going to take off down the stretch and win his 4th career MVP.
Oh, what a take. That's a take from Gerry. I love that take. All right, where are we at?
I just would like to know points. Does anyone have points in front of them?
I can find you point. The leader, it's McKinnon and
Draisaitl. I think Draisaitl. I think the other guy on his team is ahead
canceling
of him
out more than anyone else.
McKinnon's got 70 points, leading the league right now. Draisaitl's got 64, Kucherov 63, Rantanen 61, Marner 60. So McDavid's not even in the top 5.
I'm going to give this guy a 55% chance of going nuclear because it doesn't seem likely with what's going on. Most importantly, because I think Leon Draisaitl and his dominance is canceling out McDavid more than Nathan McKinnon would. Because when the guy's on his team doing it on a nightly basis, it's like, I don't know. It's like, it's point canceling Draisaitl. That's
and
what he
Draisaitl's
is.
Scoring more goals, which is more important.
But if anybody can do it, I'm going to go even higher. I'm going to go 65 because we've seen McDavid. We talked about nuclear before. If there's one guy that can absolutely torch the league for 3 months and go off the charts, it's McJesus. So don't put it past them. 65%.
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing the field. I think Draisaitl's. I think Hellebuck deserves love. Like I think there's other guys, and it's not like we're only a quarter way through the season. Now we're just over half, and he's got lots of runway, but he can do it. I'm going to go 51%. Oh,
I'm way lower on this.
Way lower.
Way lower. I
I find it insulting when you talk about McJesus.
I'm good. You know what? I'll go crazy. You want me to get crazy? You want nuclear? 1%.
Yeah, that's
1%.
Doogie.
No way.
Scrap that
1%.
from the podcast. Scrap it from the podcast.
1%.
That is insulting.
Here's why.
No.
He's having a very good year. He's got 59 points in 40 games. But if he doesn't win the Art Ross, it basically takes him out of it, right? Like that effectively takes him out of it because what he's done in the past, he's already won 3. He's dealing with the highest bar, McDavid. In order for voters to vote for him, he's got to be so head and shoulders above everyone else. Like it's almost an unfair expectation because of what he's done throughout his career. Where, if McKinnon wins the Art Ross again, if Draisaitl scores close to 60, I think Hellebuck's in there. I think Quinn Hughes is a guy you're going to talk about coming down the stretch. Kucherov is still – there's just other guys. He's just kind of blended in, and I think – the votes will go against him because he's McDavid. He's won, and there's fatigue for that. And I just don't. It doesn't feel like one of those magical statistical years for him. There's still a lot of time. To your point, there's 37 games. He could have 65 points in the next 37 games.
No
and
question.
Then everything could feel different, but
yeah, you're right.
Doesn't feel that way to me this year. 1%.
That's low.
1%.
I described it. It's the only way to describe it. Insulting.
Insulting.
All right, there you go. Jerry's percentages. Darren Dreger coming up in 15 minutes. Mike Golick coming up as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, TSN 1050 wants you to be our unofficial correspondent at the grittiest golf event of the year. To enter, you have to download the iHeartRadio app. Okay, so you got to download the iHeartRadio app. You got to listen. That's the important part of this. You've got to make sure you listen, right? Listen to TSN 1050 for at least 15 minutes straight. Once you hit 15 minutes, follow the prompts to complete your entry. And whether it's 15 minutes of First Up or 15 minutes of Overdrive, the more you listen, the better your chances. And next Monday, the guys on First Up will be calling one lucky listener with a trip for two to the Waste Management Open in Arizona. Full details at tsn1050.ca. See last night on that the TGL thing, the sim wasn't working properly, which is like a circus. Like it wasn't tabulating the shots properly. Like at one point, Tiger hit a wedge that was way off.
20 yards over the green.
Yeah.
I thought last night was kind of disastrous, I'm not going to lie.
I
and
agree.
the one thing is, when they're both blowouts, like both weeks have been blowouts, that's not good. Like you got to get it somewhat competitive where it's close and somebody wins with the last shot or something. It was 10-1 and Kisner was slapping it around.
It was awful. Last night I really do think it may have been like, I don't want to say a death nail, but it was when the technology isn't working and they're blowouts and guys are like, what are we doing here?
I said
really
that after
bad.
week one. If there's a technology problem, they got massive issues.
Yes. People
Like
are out.
what if that screen just goes down for an hour and they're on live TV?
Yeah, you're toast, man.
Yeah, you're toast,
You're
dude.
toast. And, like, I don't get the rules. Like, they're throwing the yellow thing at one point. I'm like, I don't really understand what's going on here, man. I'd rather watch the Corn Ferry or something. Like, give me real golf. Like, go out there and play. Anyway. All right, Darren Dreger coming up. Mike Gola coming up in our best bets. Raptors in action tonight. A massive 14.5-point underdog to the Boston Celtics. More on that in the final hour. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050, soon to be up on TSN 2.